Deep research is designed to be your personal AI research agent. The way it works is you sort of give your query. It'll first break it down into a researn plan. And by the way, we should totally just share my screen. Actually, I can just talk while we're on this. Okay, perfect, awesome. And then it researches the web. First step is it's going to put together this research plan. The plan looks pretty good, so I'm just going to go ahead and start the research.
How does it make the plan? Well, while we're sort of sitting here watching it do the research, which I find these queries take 5 minutes or so, which makes me feel good. I don't know if it's actually taking you 10 seconds and you're making me wait 4.5 minutes just to make me feel like you're doing a better job and it's more worth it. But
no, it takes us the full 5.
This Week in Startups is brought to you by PrizePicks. Run your game. The best place to get real money action while watching your favorite sports. Download the app today and use code TWIST to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Coda. Coda empowers your startup by bringing words, tables, and teams together. Strategize, plan, and track goals effectively with all your valuable data in one place. Go to coda.io/twist to get started for free and get 6 free months of the team plan. And Fitbod. Tired of doing the same workouts at the gym? Fitbod will build you personalized workouts that help you progress with every set. Get 25% off your subscription or try out the app for free when you sign up now at fitbod.me/twist.
All right, everybody, welcome back to This Week in Startups. It is Wednesday, January 15th, 2025, and we're back. I'm back from Japan, and I had the most wonderful trip. My second time, Alex, going skiing in an area known as Hokkaido. If you look at the map of Japan, you'll see there's like an island at the top of the island. You can only get there by plane, ferry. There's a tunnel, there's a train, but it's a little bit of an adventure. You got to do like a 2-hour drive from the airport to get to Niseko. Niseko is a ski mountain. It's actually 5 different mountains. 4 of them are together called United Niseko, and you ski there. And the reason you go there is because the powder, the snow, is, and there is Hokkaido, very good. If you were to type in Niseko, you could go to the ski village of Niseko, Niseko. There's your Niseko ski resort right there. And it is an extraordinary place to go. Why is it extraordinary? Well, if you look at something called Open Snow, I pay every year for Open Snow. It's a bunch of meteorologists. A couple of years ago, I was looking for powder because somebody told me you could powder chase, Alex. And so I said, okay, I'm going to powder chase. I want to get some of this fresh powder. And what I saw consistently was like Canada, Japan, and the Rockies and other places got like really consistent snow. But Niseko was always going up to the top of the list when you ranked by how much snow is coming. 3 years ago, I had a speaking gig. I told my speaking bureau, anywhere there's snow, Utah, Japan, Canada, I will do the speaking gig because then I could put a snow ship on it. And so they started looking. I got a tiny speaking gig in Japan one time 2 years ago. I was like, yeah, I'll take it. It was at like 1/5 of my normal rate. I didn't care. I was like, if this pays for the hotel, I'm good when I go skiing. And I just went back again, and it is extraordinary. I went to a place called Iwani, which is Iwani. You can go look that up. Iwani cat skiing. And cat skiing is when they drive you up a mountain on a cat, which is like a tractor. The same thing that ran over that actor in Tahoe's leg. You remember that? So this is...
I do not remember that, actually, but here is the Iwani Resort. Oh my gosh, you went there?
I was there. It's my second time there, my 3rd day skiing there. It's a bit expensive. It's on the pricey side to have a mountain to yourself.
Yeah, for that I'd pay whatever, right? I mean, look at that. That's insane.
Yeah. So what this is, Alex, is there was a ski resort there, but it was abandoned. And so all the villages inside of, and there's the cat, and you see that little greenhouse box on the back of it. You kind of go into that, and they drive you up the hill. You get to do maybe 6, 7, 8, 9 runs a day, depending.
Is there a bar inside the greenhouse?
There is no bar. Actually, interesting you say that. They serve homemade donuts. The guy, John, who's a friend of mine who runs it, his wife makes donuts, these like little stick donuts every morning, and then really great coffee. And when you're in the back of that, they will pour you a cup of coffee and give you a warm donut. Dude. Absolutely extraordinary experience. You can see me smiling
If
from ear to
people
ear.
say money can't buy happiness, they've never been handed a fresh donut on a cat on a Japanese mountain about to go powder skiing. Turns out there's a price tag on joy.
There
And
is. I am not a gatekeeper. I let everybody know the great things I'm doing. I want to share it with everybody because, spread a little joy. Anyway.
Yeah, spread a little joy.
Go to
we're
Niseko if you
glad
get
to have you back.
Yeah, it's good to be home.
We missed you. Also, it's much easier to film when we're 1 hour apart versus 14, turns out.
I mean, thank you for doing the 7, 8 a.m. early shows when I was at 10 p.m.
We were both suffering, let's be honest. Neither one of us was like, this is fantastic. Let's do this every week.
It was, sometimes I do things because I like to push myself, and it was a strategic mistake. And I should have just, it would have been easier if I just did I recorded the show or had somebody else co-host with you for a day or two. But it's great to be here. Great to see all the live folks coming in.
Yeah.
And Wayne and Mark and all these great folks who are in the Noti gang. If you want to join the notification gang, it's very simple. Go to youtube.com and search for This Week in Startups, and you can put the bell on, and then you will get a notification. And if you get to watch us live, you get to be part of the Noti gang and say hi. All the Noti boys are back.
Indeed, the boys are, in fact, back in town. Jason, we have a lot to get to today, but
Sure.
I thought we'd start up top with our guest. We're very excited about this. You are a fan of something called deep research from the Google Gemini team.
Yes.
I have subscribed and played with this. I am now a paid Gemini customer, upping my monthly AI spend to 40 from 20. Thanks, Google. But today we have Arush Selvan. He's the deep research product manager from Google. Let's get Arush up here, and we're going to pester him about what he's built and how it's doing. Jason, I'm glad that you brought this up. I'm in love with it. But Arush, hey, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going? It's good to
Going
be
good.
Arush,
here.
how are you, sir?
Doing great. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, I mean, I've been very impressed with what you've done with Gemini. Now, I wasn't impressed for the first, year. You know that. I gave you guys like a C, a B minus. That It was pretty janky, the original versions, but something's happened inside of Google where you guys are cooking with oil now, and the deep research product is the best thing you've done in AI for consumers that I've ever seen, or that's public facing. What's changed at Google in terms of product velocity and getting more product out?
Yeah, I mean, you gave a bunch of people who care about their GPAs a B minus, and of course we're going to try and pick that up, right? Like,
So it's directly related to me
it was
negging you.
all you, Jason. Like,
Well, they
100%.
don't- This
Don't
is what I
inflate
assume.
his... No, don't inflate his ego more. That's not necessary. I have to hang out with him all the time.
Well, people are noticing. The
Yes.
world is aware in many ways of what's happening. And how long have you been at Google? How long have you been doing AI?
I've been at Google about 5 years.
Okay.
I've been doing AI the whole time. I started off working on sort of our next generation TPU chips, and then sort of just worked my way up the stack, working on compilers and then speech and NLP technology, and finally working on Gemini.
Yeah. And you guys have started to release stuff more often. And I think that's really great to see out of Google, which when you're at a big organization, you have some downside. People expect Google to be perfect. They expect everything to be, extremely elite. But let's face it, you got competitors out there, you got startups, you got big companies, and people are releasing and people want to play with this technology. So there's been a little bit of I think, looking at it, a philosophical change at Google, which is with the AI stuff, we're going to put stuff out there. Obviously, you're red teaming it and testing it, but it does seem like the velocity has gone up. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of us, especially in the NLP community, we've always had this vision of building an amazing personal assistant, right? Mm-hmm. And finally, we're starting to have the technology that makes that real. And so people are just super excited and exploring whole different new avenues with this technology. And so, it's just been a ton of fun on the team getting to ship stuff.
I love sports. I watch every single Knicks game. I watch Knicks Fan TV after the Knicks game, and I like to get some real money action while I'm watching the game. It keeps me engaged. It gives me something to root for, aside from the binary win-loss for my Knicks. Let's talk about PrizePicks. It's simple. It's fun. It keeps you locked into the action. Here's how it works. You register, you make a deposit. It's easy to make a deposit. It literally took me 10 seconds. And then you pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stats. The more of these players you include, the bigger the payoff can be, up to 1,000 times your cash. And, obviously, if you're not into basketball, football, baseball, they got everything. You lock in your picks right before the game, and then you watch in the app. So I'm watching the screen, I'm looking at my phone, and I'm seeing my progress. Will Jalen Brunson have more than this number of points, assists, and rebounds? How about Karl Anthony Towns on the rebound tip? What's my guy OG Anunoby going to do? And PrizePicks has Flex Play. That lets you cash out even if your picks aren't perfect. Hey, you win 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4, 4 out of 5. You can get a little bit of money back, and you can still double your money even if your picks don't hit. So you get a lot of action. And I like a little action. I like the zest that comes from using PrizePicks. They now offer MasterCard. I use PayPal. It works. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as little as 15 minutes. It's fast, it's secure, it's exactly how it should be. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. Join over 10 million members and get started now. Download the app today and use the code TWIST to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's right, $50 guaranteed. You don't even have to win. PrizePicks, run your game. I was talking to your boss, Sergey, and he is really, really into it. He told me he's going to work every day. He's super engaged. He's in the office, and he was like, give me all the notes you got on everything. And I sent him a note about, hey, this is really impressive, deep research. And I've known Sergey for a long time. The deep research is a really incredible and impressive product. So I thought maybe you could show it to us and explain how it works to the audience, and then what you think the business case is for it. Because, we do try to do some analysis here, and we have researchers to prepare us for the pod, and Alex writes some great show notes. And what we're seeing is when there's a new topic, whether it's like election integrity or it's self-driving and how long it would take to put a robo-taxi fleet out there, what the cost would be, whatever it is we're researching, we're finding deep research gets us a really beautiful summary that I'm going to say would take 4 to 8 hours for a human college-educated researcher who gets paid, I don't know, on average $30 to $50 an hour, depending. Serious researcher. Not like a researcher, offshore or something, just doing generic research. I'm talking about like a U.S.-based researcher. And if you were to show me your research from Deep Research or that research work, I'd have to say I probably couldn't tell the difference.
Actually, Jason, before we jump over to Aarush, can I show you what I prepared? Because I used this, and I'm actually pretty impressed and slightly worried for my job. So Aarush, we'll hand you over the brains here in a second, but I just wanted to give a demo of this from my perspective. So I asked Deep Research to write me a report about battery technology. We recently had an interview for the Twist 500 with a company that's making next-gen batteries. So it was top of mind for me, and I asked it, hey, tell me about this battery technology, who's doing what, where. This is what I came up with in a couple of minutes. It talked about the current state of the market, the company in question that I was thinking about, and then this is where I went from impressed to annoyed. It did all this work, and then it built this table. and this is when I was like, okay, fine, smarty pants. This is actually better than what I could do in a morning prepping for the show. So, Aarush, with that introduction, I'm going to hand you the con, but my God, scaring me.
Well, what it does is it allows us to cover more topics better and then move up the stack to, having a deeper, richer discussion about it. So what might take 3 or 4 episodes for all of us to get up to speed on this new battery technology, we can get done in 1 episode as opposed to an arc of 2 or 3. But let's give us a demo of this and explain what's happening in the background. When you ask a query, it then goes and it seems to figure out what the subqueries are or what your follow-up questions are. And then it puts them all it does some sort of web research, on the fly. Maybe it indexes 100, 200 pages, gives you really good citations, and then spits out like, hey, here's a deep overview that you didn't ask for. And that's kind of what impresses me the most about it, is getting it to fill in things that you didn't even ask for.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think you're hitting the nail on the head. I'm happy to give a quick demo. But basically, Deep Research is designed to be your personal AI research agent. And the way it works is you sort of give your query, and it'll first break it down into a research plan. And that's an opportunity for you to give feedback to deep research to say, hey, I don't care about steps 3 or 5, or, I want you to actually go in a different direction. And then, and by the way, we should totally just share my screen. Actually, I can just talk while we're on this. Okay, perfect. Awesome. And then it researches the web, right? So the way you try it is if you just go to your Gemini, you click on the dropdown and go to 1.5 Pro with deep research. And here, let's say we want to sort of, let's do like a similar question to your battery tech one, right? Which is like, help me learn about the latest technology breakthrough in small fusion reactors and what are the most interesting companies in the supply chain, right? So like let's say we're trying to get smart on what's going on in this industry since everybody's talking about it. So this first step is it's going to put together this research plan where it's going to try a bunch of different ways of getting this information, right? So from things like articles and research papers to companies, and then for each company, find information about the technology, funding, and partnerships. And so the plan looks pretty good, so I'm just going to go ahead and start the research.
How does it make the plan? Well, while we're sort of sitting here watching it do the research, which I find these queries take 5 minutes or so, which makes me feel good. I don't know if it's actually taking you 10 seconds and you're making me wait 4.5 minutes just to make me feel like you're doing a better job and it's more worth it. But
no, it takes us the full 5. So
how does it know what research plan to do? Are you just asking the LLM, hey, you're a researcher, pretend you're a researcher at like a consulting group and come up with the sub queries, and then you just sort of have that happen each time? How does that part work?
It's a little bit of that. It's also trying to get the model to understand like what is your underlying intent and therefore what as a plan makes sense, right? So in this case, it does this sort of nested steps where it says, let's first find companies, and then, hey, for each one, you probably want to pull the funding information, what the technology is, things like that. But if you give a very simple prompt, like if you're just like, tell me about batteries, it's going to give what it thinks is a good starting point. But really, that's when you can come and give feedback and say like, no. I want to know about like lithium air batteries and how, like, what is their path to commercialization, right? Like, so there is an opportunity, like the more specific you can get, the better. But there's also a stage there where you can say, okay, if I ask something super basic, it's going to suggest a bunch of things that I may not have considered. And then based on that, I can give feedback.
Got it. Now, when it goes out and it says, hey, we've got 83 websites we want to research, is that going out and doing like a bunch of literal Google searches and then saying, hey, we're going to do these Google searches, find the best used page rank and the classic Google data set for the last couple decades and say, hey, we're going to know what the best 10 blue links are. Then let's organize those and see if there's more research on those pages that might tell us, what sub-instructions, I'll call them, or subtasks to do. Is that what's happening there?
Yeah. So basically that research plan that it's worked out, it then figures out what steps it can do in parallel versus have a dependency, right? And then for each step of that research plan, it's going to issue many different Google searches. And then what it's going to do is as it gets the results in, it's going to actually reason over all the content it finds to figure out what searches it needs to do next in order to complete that step of the plan.
Got it.
So it's basically, and so it might find, hey, there's still some missing information, or, oh, there's this really interesting nugget of information that I should double click on. And so it's actually sort of doing a lot of this work in parallel. And that's why you'll see that count of websites kind of continually going up. And then once it's sort of worked through its plan, read sort of all this information, it's then going to try and stitch together a research report for you. It's actually going to take a couple turns of actually reflecting on what it wrote to say like, hey, what I wrote, did it answer the person's query? Are there pieces of missing information? Are there inconsistencies? It will try and fix them and then give you a report.
So this is not one query. This is kicking off a searching process leading to more searches, and then the AI results analyzing themselves to make sure that they hone down. So this is like a zillion queries in sequence kind of running
in
together.
sequence, yeah, and in parallel.
Yeah, in tandem too, yeah.
Founders like me, you've got a lot on your plate. Running a startup means you got to manage an endless to-do list, tons of tasks, right? You got to do your chores as a founder, and you got to juggle dynamic priorities. One day it's sales, the next day it's development, then it's product, then it's raising money. And that's why I rely on Coda, C-O-D-A, to keep everything in our organization under control. Coda is the all-in-one platform that brings together the best of documents, spreadsheets, and apps all into a single scalable workspace. And it's so much more than when I say a to-do list. I'm using that as like somewhere I start. Okay, I rattle off a couple of things that need to be done, but then my team builds databases and workflows into Coda so that repetitive tasks become automated and information is shared, and there's a single source of truth. Our training documents, our meetings with founders, everybody who we co-invest with, LP relations, we do it all on Coda. And it gives us the flexibility to adapt to shifting priorities. We set our OKRs and we balance all that ambition we have with practicality. There are templates that you can use to start you on second or third base. Projects like Twist 500, where we're trying to catalog the top 500 private companies, that's being done inside of Coda. When you go to twist500.com, it's a Coda-based website, public-facing, but a database and a system for us to track those companies on the back end. It's an all-in-one hub for startups. It's literally a Swiss Army knife that we can use in any situation without having to go research another SaaS product and another template and another login and another debate and negotiation with a SaaS vendor for yet another $5,000 or $10,000 a year. And hey, it's my money. I would rather use Coda and have everything in one place, one login, and then hook it all together. It's intuitive. It's powerful. It makes our workflow seamless. Coda empowers your startup to strategize, plan, and track goals effectively. Take advantage of this limited time offer just for startups. Go to coda.io/twist today and get 6 months free of the team plan. Very generous. Thank you to the Coda team. That's coda.io/twist to get started for free. Well done, Coda. What does this do to your servers and like how much power and servers is it actually using in a research query like this one that is about 75% done as we've been speaking? They typically take, I think, 5, 6, 7 minutes. Is that occurring on 20 different servers, or is it 300 queries on average, 200 queries on average? Tell us what's going on the back end here, because this isn't available unless you have the $20 a month pro account, correct?
Yeah.
So that's obviously for a reason. You're losing money, I'm guessing, on me as a user doing this.
Yeah, so it's definitely of all the Google features ever launched, this is probably on the more computationally expensive side. I think so. One of the things is, it definitely, since it takes time, it also takes a lot more compute for us to serve this.
Mm-hmm.
But what we're hoping is with these sort of next generation AI models, we'll actually see like pretty dramatic reduction in the amount of compute this query will take. So we've got like amazing new models like Gemini 2.0 Flash. And so we're actually hoping that, hey, this is just our starting point and like, let's get it out there. Let's see how people react. But over time, we do expect the like amount of compute that a query like this takes to just keep going down.
Yeah, I mean, with Google's classic business, to talk about the business case here, if 1 in 50 people clicks on a link and you make $1 per click or something in that range, you can actually look at what does, what does 50 queries cost and what do 50 queries make? And you just have to have one number, be, slightly larger than the other one. And you have a really great business known as Google, which is the greatest business ever created in many people's estimation. But this one flips it right now at this point. I got to think these are costing you 25 cents, 35 cents. Is there any discussion internally that you're looking at that and saying, how much does this query actually cost us to do? Is that like a KPI or an OKR?
It certainly is. I think the way we think about it is like really, how do we not only ourselves reduce the cost of compute, but also continually make sure that we think about all the different stakeholders in our ecosystem. So even if you look at this UI, all of these links, you can click on them at any time and kind of dive right into the underlying material. So even as you wait, we're trying to give you opportunities to click on, and a lot of this stuff is stuff I otherwise wouldn't have discovered. So giving you opportunities to kind of double click into that content. And then as you'll see, even when the report comes, there'll be a lot of inline sources. So we also are trying to be very, very source forward in how we write the answer to kind of give you further opportunities to kind of go deeper onto that content. And ideally, you're able to do this, you're able to just do like a lot more research in your day. And so hopefully kind of in that way encounter a lot more content.
Yeah, and this is a different business model, Alex. The business model of Google has been ads. This business model is subscription. So I guess the question is, over time, what do you think happens with Google's business, right? Is it going to be more of a subscription business for these things, or is there an opportunity to put ads in here in some way and monetize it? What are your thoughts?
I think Google's going to do it both ways, because why not get paid twice? I mean, I wouldn't be shocked, Jason, if there was the equivalent of the free tier of Spotify for some of this stuff, that you take on more ads to have access to stuff that other people pay for. But I don't think that a $20 consumer price point is too onerous for something that people might use this much. I mean, I wanted to show my example first because I was actually impressed. I was actually kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And 80 cents a day for that, or 70 cents a day, just does not seem like an excessive cost. But it looks like we are ready to show off, yeah?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So we waited our 5 minutes. By the way, sometimes it takes more, sometimes it takes less. It's really up to the model on how long these things take. But yeah, it's put together this report that sort of goes into all the kind of interesting technologies coming about. I'm not an expert on this topic at all, but to me, it looks pretty great. And then what's really cool is sort of looking through the different companies that it's gone and found and like are like really promising.
Yeah.
And giving me more details. And what's pretty cool here is you can actually your journey doesn't need to stop here, right? So what you can do is you can say like, okay, there's this really great company, let's call it, let's pick one, Helion Energy. And I just want to like double click on that. I'm kind of interested in learning more about that. So what you can do is you can say like, Helion Energy sounds super interesting. Can you do more research on them and give me a detailed company profile? And at this point, the agent will sort of hopefully kind of kick off more research on that topic. And then as you can see, it's put together another research plan, and then you can start again. And so even while you're kind of going through this, you can kick off kind of more research and kind of keep digging deeper on anything that you find.
So Aarush, one thing I've seen people talk about quite a lot is the idea of having memory inside of their AI models to know what they've searched for, their own context, maybe not their own data, but at least what they put into these systems. So when I see that, to me, in my mind, I now have several different threads of research that I'm pursuing. One, are those stored somewhere that I can go back and find them later? And then also, is there a merge button? So you went on and did more there. I would love to bake that into what I had before. So is there a way to thread them together?
Yeah, absolutely. So all of your research lives inside that thread. And so that thread stays. So you can always, on my side, I have a bunch of pinned threads, as you can see. But like typically what I'll do as well is, so all that report lives there. And then if you want to like save it, direct edit it, things like that, we've got this open in docs button. And so if you click that, all the content moves over, but also all the sources as well, right? So the idea is like, if you ever want to know like, where did this number come from that I'm reading in my report, even while it's in Google Docs, you'll still have all those sources carried over. Now, the other thing though is, I think your point was like, you want to be able to like refine or add content to the document.
Yeah.
And you can actually do that. So you can actually, I'll wait for this one to be done, but like, since this one's still cooking, but you can do things like, could you add a section about, why people care about Fusion? And it'll go ahead and sort of add that content to the report. You can also ask kind of quick follow-up questions about the content. Like not everything requires 5 minutes of research. You can just say, when was Net Energy Gate founded? And everything that it's read up to that point stays in context. And so if you're asking a question about something that it's already read as part of its research, it'll try and just give you that answer immediately without having to like go and search the web again.
So it creates a search experience on top of the material it went out and grabbed and kind of pre-chewed. So it makes kind of a very mini Google just for you on the exact thing that you've been working on. That's kind of cool. I dig that.
And so as you kind of keep going deeper and you do more research, everything just stays in context within that thread, right? And all the material. So if it read 80 pages before and now it's reading 33, it's all still accessible to the model.
All right, founders, let's talk about your fitness. Yes, you can't build the next Google. You're not going to build the next Uber if you're not taking care of yourself. And this includes exercise. That's why I want you to check out Fitbod. Fitbod is like having your own personal trainer right in your pocket. I use it. I love it. It designs workouts tailored to you and your goals, as well as the equipment available to you. And of course, your fitness level. So if you're just starting out or you're already crushing it at the gym, Fitbod helps you level up your fitness. How does it work? It's pretty simple. They use machine learning, they use exercise science, and they build you a custom workout plan that's just for you. And it's based on things like the muscle fatigue of your past workouts and your recovery. So listen, you don't wind up like doing too many quads and not enough abs and too much back. It monitors all that for you. It tracks things like muscle fatigue and recovery so you avoid overworking or underworking any muscle group. And if you don't have a gym, that's not a problem. Fitbod works anywhere, and it keeps your workouts fresh and effective. So for example, when I'm on the road, I might go to one of those hotels that has like a tiny little claustrophobic gym, and all they have is like dumbbells and a treadmill. No problem. Easy peasy. You tell Fitbod what is available. It makes your workout. Now, I might be at a full gym where they have a circuit, where they got kettlebells, which I love, and then it will give me a workout based on the kettlebells and the circuit machines. And what's really interesting is I use the watch app, and I can just sit there, doot, 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 and log my sets in the workout app. I can change them. There's a little key where like you still want to get biceps, but there's 3 or 4 different ways to get biceps worked out. You can pick the one you want to do. They have over 1,400 videos to guide you through every move in Fitbod, and you can kick off 2025 nice and strong. Take all the guesswork out by getting 25% off your Fitbod subscription, or you can just try it for free. Fitbod.me/twist. That's FITBOD.me/twist. Fitbod, personalized fitness that grows with you. And this is something Stephen Berlin-Johnson was working on with Notebook LLM, right? A similar concept, which with that Google product, you can upload your own PDFs. It's not going out searching the web necessarily, but I took some PDFs around like case studies on McDonald's and the Ray Kroc. I found a PDF of his old biography. I put it all in there, put in some interviews with him, and then I was able to ask it questions, and all that was in, I guess, technically the context window. So that's going to sort of let you query a unique data set and get that information. And we're actually doing that with our Founder University program. We took the entire syllabus, put it into a Notebook LLM, and Kelly made it so founders could ask it questions about marketing or product market fit and, just search that subset and get answers. It's almost like an automated version of a venture capitalist. So this is all absolutely amazing. And you guys are being thoughtful about, oh God, there goes my camera again. You guys are being super thoughtful about how you treat the sources, and people can opt out of this, I guess, if they were not in the index, yeah? Or something to that effect. There's some robots.txt if people feel like, oh, this is unfair, I don't want my content in there.
Right. So yeah. So yes. So at Google, we publish opt-outs through a robots.txt for things like how your content can be used in Gemini models and products. So there are robots.txt. The other things to kind of talk through is like, this can only find what's on the open web, right? And so if you really care about, a lot of content is behind paywalls or, subscriptions and things like that. And again, it can't access any of that content as well.
Well, you should get it a FT and a New York Times subscription. There's only $20 a month, and just have it go in there and go wild. Actually, so Aarush, I have a question about this, because we're talking a lot about what this product can do for you. And when I go back to the original announcement of Deep Research, which I am pulling up here, you guys said it's your personal AI research assistant. But when I go over to Notebook LM, it says your personalized AI research assistant. And look, I know there's a meme about Google sometimes having 2 products that are kind of the same, but not to be puckish, when you think about the 2, how do you explain to folks which one they should be testing and tinkering with if they haven't used either?
Listen, I think we're trying to really put the user first and think about what would be great products, sort of starting with this technology. and try and get it out there. And what you might see is some convergence between products, because as they both evolve, they might sort of start borrowing the best bits of each one. For deep research, it's really about researching the web, right? So it's like, hey, you have a question, you don't necessarily have any content to ask, but you want it to go research the web and build an understanding based on that. And that's where Gemini Deep Research is really...
I feel like you should just go over to the Notebook LM team and just like kidnap them and then bake that into Deep Research. And then I could do kind of both at the same time. And again, not trying to be annoyed. I just think that they're doing things that are slightly different, but related, and they're both cool. I just don't want to see them siloed and end up being overly, I don't know, separated for no reason is what it feels like a little bit from where I sit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And by the way, they're awesome people. Like, they're a super scrappy team. They're super helpful and collaborative. We've learned a lot from them. And same with us, right? So over time, what'll happen is you'll say, hey, you guys are a small team doing cool stuff. We're a small team doing cool stuff. Like, why don't we collaborate more and more?
All right. Well, I have two more questions for you. One, I was very impressed with the charting ability. I showed that off at the top because that annoyed me because it was so good. But what about the ability to do other forms of illustration, drawing charts, drawing, flow diagrams, or just illustrations? Like, there could be a multimodal element to the output here. And I'm curious how far along that technology is and if it's coming.
Yeah, we're definitely keeping an eye on it and definitely trying to explore and try and push the limits of the model. I think what you'll see is as these models get smarter, a lot of that stuff becomes better and better. So it knows how to, like, what is the important information to pull out and put into a chart, how to format, like, what's the best kind of chart.
So I really feel like you are scratching at the surface of an awesome branding opportunity. Like, the field research idea is such a clear way to explain to people that this is going to go out and look at stuff. It's not a theoretical physicist, whereas Notebook LM versus deep research, slightly fuzzier. And so I wonder if, and this is not a criticism of Google per se, but I wonder if a lot of the AI companies are naming stuff for us nerds and not in a way that actually converts as well to the general public, which leads me to my last question for you, Aarush, before I throw it back to Jason, is how popular is deep research so far? How's it doing in market?
Yeah, we've been really surprised and like very pleasantly surprised at how it's being received. Normally, like the V0 of a product, you expect to have quite rough edges and you expect things to pick up when you start making improvements and going into like V1 and V2. Yeah, but we're really we've been really impressed and surprised by how receptive people are. Part of it may come from the fact that it was talked about at the All In podcast. Jason, your check is in the mail, by the way.
Oh yeah. I talk about stuff I find interesting in the world, and this is certainly up there. It does seem like you guys are slowly rolling it out. You got to be thoughtful about capacity and users, and I'm assuming like hallucinations. I see the sort of disclaimers because this isn't perfect. How close is it to just LLMs in general in your mind? And we'll wrap on that. Just in terms of data integrity, in terms of getting rid of hallucinations and making sure you're giving people good information, which I know was Google's concern. You have this like trust with Google, and it's hard to put out, an AI product that isn't fully baked. Like, let's face it, ChatGPT and some other people just put out experiments, but with the Google name on it, you're not really in that position to put out experiments. So talk to me about how you're dealing with that issue, how much people can trust the information as presented. How close are we to getting rid of hallucinations? How often do they happen? How do you mitigate against them?
Yeah, for sure. That's a great question. It's definitely one of the most important things we looked at when designing this project and keeping track of it. And, dealing with hallucinations is just like this ongoing industry-wide kind of research problem of like, how do we make these LLMs not make stuff up? So we're definitely, I would never say like we've solved it or anything like that. Like even deep research will have some mistakes and hallucinations. But one of the things where we're trying to kind of help the user out is basically trying to be as source forward as possible. So like even as you read the report, you'll see dozens of inline sources. And so the idea is like, if there's really important information that you want to make sure is like, you want to double check and make sure is really, really accurate. We make it as easy as possible for you to kind of double click into that underlying source content and verify for yourself. And that's also why, you save it, you can export it to docs and stuff like that. All that stuff still remains. so that at any point you want to be able to kind of refer back to see where this information comes from. It's as easy to do as possible.
It's going to get really interesting when you guys have like reminders and agents. I saw ChatGPT released a reminder product today where you could just say, hey, this research report is done every week. Tell me what's changed, and it goes through the 20 companies in that table that Alex was showing of the batteries. It says, oh yeah, by the way, there's a funding report. We found a press release or some story in Google News that there's a funding update, and you can then sort of send an alert to folks. Hey, by the way, you may want to check that research. It's been updated for you automatically.
Yeah. It's super cool. I think we're starting to scratch the surface of what are all the different avenues we can explore with deep research.
Yeah.
I think this idea of sort of, you don't want your if you have like a research analyst, you don't just want them to tell you the answer once. It's like, no, monitor the space for me, monitor the sector, industry. I want to know what's going on as this evolves. And yeah, being able to sort of partially automate that and have an agent do that for you would be super
so
cool.
It's Google Alerts plus search, but the new version of it with deep research and automated AI reminders and updates. The kids these days have it too easy because they can just cheat at everything now. Because if I had this in high school,
Well, it's interesting you say that, Alex. What if it just looked at your history and every 24 hours went through your search history and just said, hey, is there any way we could make this query better for the user? And then it just in your sidebar showed you, hey, previous searches that have some updates to them, are here. And it just said, put an alert on 7, 6, 3. You click it and it's like, oh yeah, there's 2 more companies we added to this query. Do you want to see them? Be like a great re-engagement strategy for users.
It's like fishing for information. You can put the line out and wait to get a nibble, and then when it updates, you go back and check that particular spot. Yeah,
it's just really cool.
So Aarush is a fisherman. Got it.
There you go. We'll keep grinding on it. I as you know, I'm giving this an A+. This is, one of the most impressive things I've seen so far to come out of Google in this new era. And I love the fact that you are starting to include images, charts, and the other Google services. I think we'll know when this is really clicking, when Google Local data, Google Flights data, my Gmail, my Google Docs, those things become citations inside of this or are presented. And it seems like you're well on your way to getting all those incredible Google services that are out there to be incorporated. I just did a search on Gemini for skis, and, a certain type of skis for doing groomers and, really well-groomed trails to go fast. And I was very impressed that it, not only gave me good information, but it cited really good sources that I use already. And then I was able to click through. So I think, content creators, and I've been on and on about this, they're going to just have to make a decision. Is the click-through worth being included in the index or not? And it's going to be your choice to do that, because you can be indexed in Google search, but not be ingested into Gemini at your choice, right? These are 2 different toggles now.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
In robots.
Yeah. All right, listen, amazing job. And we will, I would say, keep us updated, but we just hit the drop down, in Gemini every day and take a look. And so we know what you're up to. We're watching it for you. And we will have feedback. We'll have notes, trust me.
Yeah, and please do send them, by the way. Yeah. Feel free to reach out and give us feedback. We love it. And yeah.
It's such a wonderful time in the, in the technology industry to have this new category of product to play with every day that is really making everybody better at their job. So really great job. It's really helped everybody on our investment side of the business to become experts faster. Our researchers, get, expertise and knowledge quicker. And that really was always Google's mission, right? Index the world's knowledge and make it available to everybody. Now you're indexing reasoning and all kinds of other really great things, anticipating the knowledge people want. Great job. A+.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Aarush. We'll chat soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. See you soon.
All right, Jason, I want to make a business model question here about this. So we talked a lot about the economics of this, because you and I are always thinking, what are the gross margins? What's the business here? Are you selling $1 for 50 cents? Here's the flip of that, though. In this case, if I was Google and Perplexity is gaining momentum and people are talking about AI search and getting off of, traditional properties, why not just give this to everybody, eat the cost? You've got so much money, and try to really buy that mind share with just the fact that you have 100 billion in cash.
They'll flip the switch at some point. They did it already with the summaries at the top. Remember those summaries, you had to be logged in, you had to turn them on. And so there's a lot of expertise inside of these large corporations that know, this is the moment in time that this product is ready, that we can release it on the public. They do have the innovator's dilemma of, if you roll some of these features out and you just give people the answer, do they not click on ads? And then that could be headwinds against the ad business. So I'm sure they're being super thoughtful about this. I do think there's going to be a whole new ad model that emerges, which is going to be, when you do a research paper like this, you could include in it offers. So let's say Crunch, some of the data is from Crunchbase. Crunchbase could say, to get in-depth data, you've got a couple of companies listed in here, but it would know that the person is researching startups and technology companies, Gartner Group, Dell Computers, AWS, Google Cloud, whatever. They know you're doing this type of research, so they could embed in it the free version, little segments that are AI constructed ads. So imagine an AI constructed ad inside of this research paper on, hey, we have a research paper, we have a database, we have, or you just know, hey, we're both into gadgets and technology. Here's the latest gadgets and technologies. Would you like to fire off this query of what's the best laptop? We know you're on a Mac Mini that's from 5 years ago, whatever. We know your machine's slow. We know that you were just looking at new machines, and here's like an overview of it. So what may happen is people may click on less ads, but the ads they do click on might be super helpful. You and I don't like to click on ads. We're like part of that group of people who don't click on ads probably.
It's true.
But if we got enhanced ads that were really well constructed, hey, why should I buy a Dell instead of this new Dell Inspiron, lightweight one? Why is it better than my MacBook Air? Why should I switch to Android from iOS or vice versa? Just those typical queries, it might explain to you, hey, listen, you're paying $1,500 for your iPhone. You can get a Pixel for $900. And here's the features that the Pixel has that you might be interested in. And so that's going to be wild. AI-based ads could be a whole other category. The marketers don't need to come up with the message. The message can be created by AI and customized to you or me based on what's in our research.
Well, the user creates the crux of what they're working on. They create the context, the demand. All you have to do is to just take that information, use AI to craft an ad from a relevant partner, and then serve it up. But the user creates the opportunity. So you're really going to want to drive usage for that to work.
Precisely.
I'm not opposed to that. Also, if Google wants to buy Crunchbase, I wouldn't say no as a shareholder. All right. So you wanted to talk about OpenAI's new task feature. Can we show that really quick, Jason, to the folks?
Sure. I think it's a great idea to show it. Yeah, this is a new feature that I just saw go across my feed today. And, this is really what's at the heart of this innovation. Great competition in capitalism. You've got, OpenAI, Grok, Claude, Gemini, all really trying to outdo each other with great features. And here is ChatGPT saying, hey, remind me, every day at this time to do something, right? And people are starting to do these things. And I guess in this case, it's saying, make me a custom workout.
Yes. So I went ahead and gave this a whirl for us because I wanted to have a non-canned demo. So Jason, first of all, I showed up to ChatGPT and I tried to ask it to set a reminder and it said, I cannot do that. And I was very confused. You actually have to go up here to ChatGPT with scheduled tasks. It's in beta. Okay. So if you can't find it, don't do what I did. That's where it is. I said, can you set an alarm, reminder, or task to tell me every day at 9 a.m. to meditate and do push-ups? And easy peasy. It has to give me notifications. And I'm kind of, okay, great. But here's my question. Why does it do this now? This to me seems kind of off-piste in a way that deep research doesn't. Are they trying to build a super app? Is that what they're doing here?
No, I think what it is, this is a mini version of agents, a repetitive task. These would be cron jobs, that a developer would do, like a chronological job, a time-based job. So let's say every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we do the show, and we know that we look at the top stories that I'm talking about in my X feed, you're talking about in your X feed, and that are on Tech Meme and that are being talked about by these, 10 people. We could say, what are these 20 people talking about? Give me a ranked list of which are the most popular stories that these 20 people are talking about online. Then go to these, 10 YouTube channels, index those, tell me what topics they're talking about, and build us a docket. So the building of the docket is you and I thinking about what's in the zeitgeist. This could be a backstop against that, and kind of you combine it with deep research. Now you say, make me a deeply researched document of these topics, and we're looking at the docket and it's done every day.
I'm going to try this on. I'm going to use this on Friday for the Friday show. I didn't have enough time to actually revert my whole process, but I'm going to just start with this in a way that I never felt like. If I use ChatGPT to start something, it always felt like it was written for a 7th grader, and it wasn't quite what I needed. It was always a little too basic. But I'm just going to start each section of the show for my prep with just this, and let's just let's see what it does. If it makes me smarter, good.
In a year, it will be able. I would predict a year from now, in January 2026, we'll be sitting here with cron jobs firing while we're doing the show, summarizing stuff and telling us in real time based upon what we're saying during the show. So imagine we're talking during the show, and I said, I was at E20, doing this cat skiing. It would just go in Restream, give us 3 videos of E20 Resort with a title, hold up to the most interesting part of that clip. And instead of you going and searching for it, you would just say, oh yeah, this one, or that one. Mm-hmm. And so what's going to happen is AI is going to study what we do every day and then figure out if it's a repetitive task, what it could do. So Restream, if Restream was monitoring what we did every day, or your browser was monitoring it, and you connected it to the transcript of this, as we speak, it's queuing up for you, hey, maybe you want to show 1 or 2 or 3 of these things. Oh, Jason's talking about the Mac Mini 4. Here's a picture of it. Oh, Alex is referencing, Second Life and how that used to work, and it has like the Second Life debut video or some quick facts on Second Life. So while we're talking here, if we were talking about Second Life, imagine if an infographic came up on the screen. Second Life was a company that did this, like pop-up videos where they had like little nuggets. Well, that's coming. So I think we're going to be in a very interesting position. And of course, we're sitting here saying, well, what's our jobs? Our jobs is to have a discussion about it. And just because we get more information, the velocity at which we'll consume information or have access to stuff is just going to go up. It's just going to be like the most well-produced content in the world will just happen without as much effort, which is what happened when the Wikipedia went from, I remember when Wikipedia first launched, I went to the China page and it was like, China is a country in East Asia with this many population. It was literally one sentence and it said, this is a stub. Yeah. And that China page became a full-blown page within a couple of weeks. Yeah. But I do remember that experience of going to the early Wikipedia and seeing like a China page that was like,
everything starts somewhere.
Correct.
But actually, non-jokingly, I wonder if one thing we're going to continue to bring to shows like this, like us being podcast folks or people who convey information, when the information itself becomes slightly easier to create and disseminate, I wonder if one of the biggest things we're going to bring is humor.
Yeah.
Like not even kidding. I really think that might be clutch to keep people engaged. Like we might just be like helping people stay focused.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what the nightly news became at a certain point. You were like, you know what? I like Jimmy Kimmel's version of what happened today. He tells a couple jokes, gives some context. I like what the McLaughlin Group does on Sunday. I like what All In does. I like what This Week in Startups does. I like this roundtable, I like that roundtable. So yes, context on top of the content is really, really fun. And I think you're seeing a lot of media outlets kind of move to that where they'll have, like the New York Times and Washington Post started to do TikToks where they take the journals and say, tell me about the story you wrote. And they just said, yeah, I've been working on the story for 6 weeks. I went here, I went there. This is the crux of the story. And then, go read it. But for some people, they just watch that TikTok and that's their total consumption of, 300 labor hours of research.
Yeah, I don't want to put my spouse on blast because she's amazing and I love her and she's the best. But also, like, sometimes she'll like, I read a story about that. I'm like, oh, what did it say? And then she goes, oh, actually, I read the headline. And I'm just like, honey, you have to understand that wounds me in particular. Like that's, yes. But different worlds, different jobs, different careers, different, different domains. I want to show you a demo though, a different demo. You're not ready for this. You haven't seen this yet. You don't even know what it is, but I'm going to explain to you what I'm going to show you. It is from a startup, to be clear. So here is a little video that I'm going to play and see what you think.
Hello, Jason. Have you considered making Alex the CEO of Twist and giving him $1 billion?
So rate that for me on a scale of 1 to believable.
So right now it looks like an animatronic out of Westworld, which is to say it's almost crossing the uncanny valley. If you were not paying attention and looking at your peripheral vision, you would think that's a real person talking. Because I was focused on it, I could tell that was AI generated. But, because of the tone of her voice. And
it's not quite perfect. No.
Not quite perfect. Yeah, I would say 7 of 10, which means 6 or 7 of 10, peripheral vision, NPC, non-playing character, walking by, I might not notice it. But like a lot of these things, like Sora and some of the new video creation stuff, if I'm paying attention, I know it's created by AI because I see 6 fingers or some weird, in this case, I was watching her lips move. They didn't exactly match perfectly.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So she has 10 fingers total. I just counted.
Okay, perfect.
This is a video from a startup called Synthesia, or Synthesia perhaps. And I was looking into them, Jason, because they just raised $180 million at a $2.1 billion post in EA led. Just for context, June 23 was their last round, 90 million Excel led, $1 billion post. So I saw those numbers and I was like, whoa, okay, those are big. And then what's cool is on their website, they could literally have do you want to try it out? Do this. And so I just made a video for us to test it. And I came up with that text as a joke. I didn't know if it was going to be good enough to show. But this is what people are going to be using inside of corporate environments for training, for talking to customers. And I think that even though you and I can see that it's AI, I think it's probably good enough for that stuff right now.
If I walked up to this in a kiosk and it was like, hey, welcome to McDonald's, what would you like? And I said, like a filet of fish and, and a cup of coffee. And they were like, okay, great. And it recognized my face. And it said, okay, Jason, put your thumbprint here or look at your irises. And would you like to use Clear to pay for your order? Like, I don't know why, Clear at the airports?
Yeah.
Why doesn't Clear with the biometrics do a deal with Starbucks and McDonald's? So when I'm at the kiosk, I can say, use Clear. It does my eyes and then it charges my card automatically.
I think because the headlines would be Starbucks partners with creepy eye scanning tool. They're stealing your DNA.
I opted into it. Trust me, like I don't care. Like I know I'm here. If I open the McDonald's app or the Starbucks app, I'm in the store. I have to geolocate. I'm paying. You already know I'm there. I'm on camera for 10 hours a week doing live streams. So for me, my privacy's already gone. It's an illusion. So I would be absolutely amazing if there was a Clear button and said pay with Clear. Why doesn't pay with Clear exist? I have a question for those executives. Pay with Clear should exist at these places. Boom, whatever card I have authenticated with Clear, biometric it, bang. Let me.
When you go to Whole Foods, they now have the palm scanners that they've put out. Do you use that?
I don't shop for groceries myself unless I'm taking the kids for the experience of going to the store, which, it's like a social thing to go shopping. And, we'll pick at Central Market here in Texas, like the high-end HEB, we'll pick stuff. But I would totally use the palm scanner.
Okay.
Because again, if you've got apps on your phone, they know your location, they know you're in the building already. Who cares? And you know what? It's going to be more secure. And what is the cost to me if somebody were to hack it? Well, credit cards are all insured, basically. So you're not responsible if people use your credit card.
It's unsecured debt that someone else holds. So totally. But I feel, and maybe this is just me getting into my Luddite years, but I'm kind of like, I don't want to scan my hand, Amazon. I've already logged into Prime at the little checkout thing so I can save 13 cents on cherry tomatoes for my daughters. But why do you need my palm print too? It feels slightly excessive to me, but maybe that's the future. Maybe Clear, hand scanning, crossed with better AI to follow us around. Maybe it makes for a better, more ubiquitously digital future. But I do think there I begin to go a little bit.
As long as they still take cash, I think all these places should still be allowed to take cash.
Yeah.
And, I think I may lose my mind at some point. Right now I'm all in on it. But at some point, I may lose my mind and start driving a 1970 Mustang convertible or a 1973 Corvette with no technology. I don't leave my phone at home and just have a wad of cash in my thing and just be off grid and not have anybody know where I am. But narcissistically, like nobody cares. Like this is the one thing
Also
I come
that.
to. Like nobody cares. Nobody cares where I'm going, what I bought. If it gets hacked and people are like, oh my God, he ate a fillet of fish and a mocha, who cares? Like it's not any kind of information. And I guess maybe because I'm a micro celebrity, I have a different worldview of this, which is when I was in Japan, I got stopped 20 or 30 times while skiing. And I'm wearing a helmet and goggles and people are like, I just want to let you know I love the podcast while I'm in the gondola. It's a little bit weird, but I'm used to it. I don't care. I've already lost my privacy to a certain extent with the people who watch the two podcasts. So
I feel that I've been recognized twice in my driveway, and that always freaks me out a little bit. Because in San Francisco, it's an industry town, right?
Yeah,
but
of course. Yeah.
I'm in Providence, which is not an industry town, it's a college town.
Yeah.
And that's been a little wonky. I can't imagine. And to be clear, I am not a micro celebrity. I'm on a podcast. Yeah. You actually do have to think about this more than I do. So your perspective
I have
is
security situations, and I'm good. But people are generally like super normal. I mean, only one time somebody asked me to take a selfie in a bathroom. That's another story. But I do think this stuff is very cool, and I could see those actually working.
Yeah. Just to put that round into context for everybody, this is a Crunchbase search of all the rounds thus far in 2025 that are into AI companies that are over 100 million. There are 8 of them so far. 1's private equity, 2 are debt, 5 are kind of venture equity. But for 15 days, for half of the first month of the year, this feels pretty hot to me overall. It doesn't seem like we're slowing down on the investment front. I do want to make sure we touch on TikTok today. So folks, the news today is that TikTok, when the 19th hits, if the Supreme Court does not come to help it, it's not going to, as required by law, simply no longer be distributed in app stores. That's kind of what the law says. Google, Apple have to stop showing it. Instead, Jason, they're going to just flip the switch and turn the whole thing off. And strategically, I think this makes...
ByteDance is going to turn it off.
ByteDance is going to turn it off.
Wow.
They're going to go
download
full
your
nuclear.
history, download your subs, download your comments. I mean, I don't mean to make light of this, but it is some people's world.
Yes.
Like their entire world.
I think everyone wants to look at this issue through a single lens when it's actually a multifaceted point. Like I can have national security concerns that lend towards me being in favor of TikTok being banned, and I can have general perspectives that I don't like the government ever controlling speech, period, even when it deals with a foreign company. But the thing that I'm kind of stuck on right now, Jason, is this. Now that we're moving towards the end of TikTok, users are swapping apps. And it's not like by getting rid of TikTok, we're going to see actually a change in where apps are from. For those on the audio version, this is a tweet from Ben Smith of Semaphore, and Ben's worked everywhere. Just a well-known media guy. It's an app. It's a screenshot of the top apps in the App Store. And the first one is, I wrote out the pronunciation, Xiaohongshu. It's the little Red Book application. Then there's Lemonade, which is a ByteDance property, I think. I don't know who made Clapper, but Temu is also here. Like in the top 12, there's still a bunch of apps from Chinese companies. So
this is 100. I don't know what this Red Book is. I saw some viral tweets of Taylor Swift promoting it. Legendary CCP journalist Taylor Swift. I'm sorry, Taylor Lorenz.
I was very confused there.
Lorenz. I'm sorry, not sorry. My brain is still on Japan time.
I was going to say, you said you're not jet lagged, but that's a funny one. I'll take that one. No, you're fine. You're doing great.
She was like sort of talking about it, and then people were kind of goofing on her about it. It's this is 100% proof that the Chinese and the CCP is making a really crazy decision right now because there's so much geopolitics at play. They could make this a sacrificial lamb and divest. They've had plenty of time to divest. They've run the clock out. That was their decision. I have zero sympathy for them. If this wasn't a strategic asset for them on an intelligence basis, they would have divested it. They have I think they call them golden shares in the company.
Yeah, which is when the central government buys kind of one share in your business and then they get permanent board seats. And if I understand it correctly, Jason, also vetoes over certain business practices,
Sales,
ideas.
Divestitures, and they have access to all your data. So you remember like Didi, the ride hailing got in some kind of trouble because they hadn't given all the ride hailing data to the government. So the government in China, speaking about privacy, knows every single ride you've taken without a subpoena. So somebody in the government can just be like, show me Alex's trips.
Yeah.
Okay. An American would be like, that's crazy. Like, that's your private information. The government can just take it. Like a French person would be like, mon Dieu. Like, this is
what happened to GDPR?
It's a GDPR.
We're gonna get in trouble. France, we love you. Excellent.
Well, of course, we like
amazing.
French are amazing. I mean, you wouldn't want to go to war with them, but it's they'll just roll over. But hey, listen, they blocked us from flying.
That's not even true. Well,
what are you talking about? We wanted to go bomb in the Middle East. They blocked us flying over their country. They were like,
we got freedom fries out of that. But I'll tell you,
around our country if you want to go bomb another country.
Dirt in World War I until the U.S. was like, fine. We'll show up, and then we showed up when they'd done all the work.
Yeah,
the French get a bad rap. I would say occasionally unfairly on the war front. Also, Napoleon, not German.
Okay, listen, all I'm saying is remilitarize Japan. That's my position. Bring Bushido back. Japan needs to be fully armed.
Maybe we cut out this section.
It's your geopolitical corner.
Alex and Jason talk about it. Military history.
It's a military asset. It's an intelligent asset. That's why they haven't given it up. It's straight. I mean, you don't need to be a genius. If this was a financial transaction, they would have taken it public already.
Yes.
They would all be basking in their $500 billion valuation. Jeff Yass, everybody who owns shares in this would be popping champagne. They would love for this thing to be divested and for them to secure the bag. All the shareholders are in a complete panic about this.
Yeah.
And you know what? They just have to divest and it's actually good for rule of law. Like, we have some level of rule of law in this country. And when we make a decision and it becomes a law, the new president can't just be like, you know what, I changed my mind. That's not how this works. You have to work with the other branches of government. The other branches of government, bipartisan, have spoken. Whether it was Kamala or Trump or if RFK had won, you can't just say like, executive order, it gets to stay. I think he can give it a stay of execution after the 20th for a couple of days, but I don't think before he can. So this thing's going down, right?
Yeah. I mean, Supreme Court is, they had oral arguments a couple of days ago. The general vibe, I got to listen to, I think I listened to a little bit of that, but I didn't get to listen to the whole day. Sadly, that's not my job. But the commentary amongst the legal scholars out there is that it's not looking good for TikTok. That oral argument didn't go as well as they might have hoped. So I do think you're right. It's going to be interesting to show off. I just think it is very ironic that everyone's going over to an app called Little Red Book because we want to get them off of TikTok. Like, oops. All right. We're back on Friday, and then next week's going to be a busy one for the nation.
Okay. And I will be going to the inauguration on Friday myself, so may tape a little earlier. But if you want to get the docket, it's thisweekinstartups.com/docket. You can always see the docket, thisweekinstartups.com/live, or go to YouTube and sign up live. Or you can sign up for my LinkedIn, Alex's, x.com/Alex, and you can join docket team. So we got the Noti gang that comes in when the notification happens, but we got the docket squad. You can join the docket squad, read the docket, give us your suggestions, your questions, and help do the research on it so we all get smarter together. We'll see you all next time on This Week in Startups. Bye-bye.